Thank you, councillors, staff and member of the public. I wish to welcome everyone to the June meeting of the Policy and General Committee. Standing committees are held as part of the council meeting process in order for committees to consider reports prepared by council officers and to make recommendations regarding these reports to the monthly council meeting. Council's delegates on the Policy and General Committee are Mayor Kennedy, Deputy Mayor Hickey, Councillor Allgate, Councillor Bolland, Councillor Brown and Councillor Jewett. Statement of ethical obligations. All councillors undertook an oath of affirmation at the beginning of their term of office and declare to undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of the Broken Hill local government area and the city of Broken Hill, and that they will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in them under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of their ability and judgment. Live streaming of recordings of meetings and recordings of meetings. This committee meeting is live streamed via YouTube and recorded and published online via Council's website. To those present in the meeting today, by attending in this public meeting, you are consenting to your image, voice and comments being recorded and published. The chairperson and or the general manager have the authority to pause the live stream if comments are or debate are considered defamatory or otherwise inappropriate for publishing. Participants are advised that they may be subject to legal action if they engage in unlawful behaviour or commentary. We call on apologies.
You've got an apology from Mayor Kennedy.
Mayor Kennedy, an apology. Moved by any further apologies? No. Move. You want to move that way?
Move that way.
Moved. Seconder? Right, moved. Councillor Hickey, seconded Councillor Jewett. Any speakers against? All speakers for? Vote. All in favour? Unanimous. Leave of absence applications? Nil. The prayer. Councillor Bolland to read the prayer.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. Almighty God, we ask you to invoke your blessing upon this council, direct and prosper our deliberations to the advancement and true welfare of the people of the council area, our state and Australia. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor Bolland. Acknowledgement of the country. Councillor Jewett.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. We acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet today and pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging.
Thank you, Councillor Jewett. Acknowledgement of the Broken Hills mining history. Councillor Hickey.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. We take this time to reflect, remember and honour the over 800 miners that lost their lives and those that were crippled or maimed on the line of load. We thank the brave miners and their wives who were part of the 1919 to 1920 strike that lasted over 500 days and delivered a 35-hour working week. Mining is our past and our future.
Thank you. Minutes for confirmation. Is there a mover for the minutes?
I'll move that way.
Moved by Councillor Bolland. Seconded. Councillor Brown. All those in favour? Moved. Unanimous. The motion. Call for disclosures of interest. No disclosures of interest. We move on to reports. The first report is the Broken Hill City Council report number 138/22, dated June the 2nd, 2022. The annual fees for mayor and councillors. Do I have a I'll read the recommendation out for the members of the public. The recommendation is that the Broken Hill City Council report number 138/22 dated June the 2nd, 2022 be received. 2, that the council notes that the Local Government Remuneration Tribunal determined that there be a 2% increase to the minimum and maximum fees applicable to councillors and the mayor in each existing category for the financial year commencing the 1st of July 2022. 3, that council also notes that the current annual fees paid to the Broken Hill City Council's mayor and councillors is below the maximum fees determined for the category of regional rural. 4, that council determines whether an increase be applied to the current fees for the mayor and councillors for the 2022-23 financial year. And 5, that allocation of fee for the deputy mayor when acting in the role of mayor being the daily fee based on the annual additional mayoral fee, with the fee so payable deducted from the mayor's fee, be reaffirmed. Do we have a mover?
I'll move that with an amendment to item 4, councillor.
Amendment to item 4. What's the amendment?
The amendment that no fees be, or no increase in fees for from the 2021-22 fee to 2023. So it remains the same.
Okay, moved Hickey. Is there a seconder for that?
I'll second that way.
Speakers? Speak to it.
Yeah,
Councillor
Boland, Councillor Holgate, I should say. I don't believe that we should have a rise in fees at this stage of life. We only have a new council. I've been here less than 6 months, and I think we've got to prove our worth before we have a rise in fees. Council struggling, everybody else is struggling, so I don't see that we need a rise in fees. Thank you.
Okay, and further speakers? Speak against? Speakers
Yes,
against?
Mr. Chair, I will speak against
Councillor Brown?
as I normally do. Just to point out that if this motion is carried, it means, in fact, a decrease in fees, because the increase is really just keeping up with the existing fees. So, in fact, I think I stand to be corrected. This will now be at least the 3rd year that our fees have effectively been decreased. I would like to maybe suggest or move an addendum to this. I don't know whether it's appropriate now or just to foreshadow it. That would just be an addition. I don't know, to see whether the mover would be happy that we send correspondence to the other councils in our rural regional group to ask them what the fees their councillors receive, or in relation to the recommendations of the tribunal, whether they receive that. I think just as a matter of, because we're so much in a bit of a isolated bubble here, but just from asking around what I've heard from what other councils do, not so much in this particular subgroup, but mainly the larger regional and the metropolitan councils, they all seem to pay their councillors the maximum, without question. And it is a recommendation from the remuneration tribunal based on the workload for councillors. It's not intended to be related to any kind of other key performance indicators or anything like that. It's a reflection of the work actually done by councillors, and also reflects the fact that councillors are a very diverse lot. And for some, maybe some have the luxury of this just being a bit of pocket money or additional money, but for some councillors to participate effectively in this, you know, they really, the councillor fee is, you know, is an important part to enable them to, you know, to do the things that they need to do. So I'll leave it at that, Mr. Chair, but just, you know, maybe Seeker, if that addendum to that would be acceptable.
Councillor Hickey, are you prepared to include that addendum?
No, Councillor Allgate. No, I think
Okay.
Councillor Brown has to move an alternate motion.
Okay. So do you want to move an amendment, foreshadow an amendment?
Yes, all right, Mr. Chair.
Pardon?
Just it's really a motion coming out of the main motion, I suppose. Of what wouldn't it's not an amendment.
It's up to you if you want. You either want to move.
Yeah, I'll foreshadow.
So you move the amendment that we circularise similar councils.
Yeah, councils in the rural and regional subgroup, just to get an idea whether they, you know,
gauge what their position is.
What fees their councillors are paid, you know, whether they accept the remuneration tribunal recommendation or not. I think, you know, that's of interest to us.
Does that reflect your, that the council writes to similar sized councils to ascertain if they receive maximum councillor and or mayoral fees?
Yeah, I don't think similar size, because I think we're kind of in a group above our size because we are rural and regional. I mean, there is a group of councils. I mean, I'd be happy to extend it to all councils, but I think just to keep it simple, just the councils in our group. Right. I mean, the principle would be the same whether we, you know, ask all councillors, but just would keep it simple just to see whether what they do. It's a matter of information.
Okay. So you're asking for maximum fees?
Oh, no. We know what their councillors are actually paid. Right. Because we know what the range is. The range will be the same for this group of councils, the same range, because they're all in that same group. And just so we know, you know, whether they're paid, you know, what they're actually paid, and we can see whether that's a maximum or the minimum or it's somewhere in between, as we are.
Do you have a seconder for that? Do we have a seconder?
Was it a foreshadowed amendment or an amendment?
And it was an amendment, she said. Now, have I got to write that down here? No seconder? It lapses. So the motion now becomes, the motion is the motion. The amended recommendation moved by Councillor Hickey now becomes the motion. Can we have a vote? All those in favour? Councillor Boland, Councillor Hickey, Councillor Jewett. All those against? Councillor Brown. Okay, we move on to item 2, if I can open, if I can get. Item 2 is a Broken Hill City Council report number 139/22, dated June the 7th, 2022. Office of Local Government Circular, Councillor Superannuation. There's a long recommendation here. Would the member of the public like me to read it out, or is it? Can I ask the member of the public if she wishes me to read it out so that we know what we're talking about? Oh, okay. Well, the councillors and the staff know what, and the officers know what the recommendations are. It's really about whether in general terms, it's about whether the councillors wish to have superannuation paid and or not. That's pretty much yes or no. So can I have a motion, a mover?
Yes. Councillor Allgate, move the motion, but just only keep item one and change 2 to read that we don't take up the offer of superannuation.
Can you say that again?
So,
Move item 1,
yep, and then delete the rest.
delete the rest.
Yep.
Okay.
And make item 2 that we, Broken Hill City Council don't pay superannuation to councillors.
Yeah. Is there speakers against?
Yes.
Councillor Brown?
Yes, Mr Chair. This superannuation issue is a question that's been fought for many years by local government New South Wales. And I do think that if we knock this back, we'll be the only council in New South Wales that will not be paying superannuation. Just saying. I don't know that for sure, but just my impression is that all councillors, or at least the vast majority of other New South Wales councils have accepted this.
Okay, thanks. Speaker 4.
Councillor Allgate, my feeling is that it's not your full-time job. Superannuation should be paid on your full-time job. This isn't a full-time job for any of us. And I just don't, I think even if we are the only council, well, then we go it alone, so be it.
Did we have a seconder? I don't think we got a seconder. Councillor Boland. Okay, no further speakers. I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Boland, Councillor Hickey and Councillor Jewett. All those against? Councillor Brown. Item 4 on the agenda is the Broken Hill City Council report number 141/22 dated June the 2nd, 2022. Adoption of the Disability Inclusion Plan.
Councillor Allgate, I think you're only on 3.
Missed one, have I? Oh, well, better to be in front than behind. Sorry, item 3, Broken Hill City Council report dated at number 140/22 dated June the 2nd, 2022. Adoption of the Community Strategic Plan, Your Broken Hill 2040. I noticed that there's been some feedback during the public exhibition period, Mr. General Manager. And all I'd like to say before the councillors deal with this matter is that whilst I acknowledge that some people have a problem with the strategic plan, I personally will stand my ground. As I've said before at previous meetings, I thought the Community Strategic Plan was a good plan, and I'd be prepared to accept it in its entirety. I know there might be some areas that some people are not happy about, but it's personally from a councillor and from a long-term council employee in a future life, further in an earlier life. I thought this strategic plan was one of the better ones I've seen, and I said that at meetings before, and I stand by that. Can we have a mover?
I'll move that motion as written.
Councillor Boland, a seconder.
I'll second that.
Councillor Jewett. Speak to it.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. Yes, I myself read through the community feedback and some of it was quite interesting. But I did review the amendments to strategies and I find those all pretty reasonable. To include the global reference and criteria which resulted in the national heritage listing is important. Adding words inclusive, disability service and support. So I don't have an issue with the recommended amendments to the strategy. But yes, certainly I agreed with your comments. I felt the report was very, very well done and was a really, really good report that really shows how much Broken Hill is going ahead.
Thank you, Councillor Boland. Any speakers against? All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Item 4 for the second time. Broken Hill City Council report number 141/22 dated June the 2nd, 2022. Adoption of the Disability Inclusion Plan 2022-2026. Do we have a mover?
Yeah, move that way,
As written,
as written.
Councillor Hickey. Seconder? Councillor Brown? Speak to it, Councillor Hickey.
Thanks, Councillor Allgate. Yeah, like, I think council's heading the right way with this, with the disability inclusion plan. It's a good plan. Queen Elizabeth Park was a great start to the plan anyway, and it's all, you know, really good for disabled and everything, and it still fits in it. It's lovely, and I think it's a credit to council. Thank you.
Thank you. Speakers against? All those in favour? Unanimous. Item 5. Broken Hill City Council Report 142/22 dated May the 3rd, 2022. Adoption of the draft debt recovery policy. I'd make the same comment about the debt recovery policy that I made during the briefing some time back. I think this is a wonderful improvement over what we had. What we had before was generating a lot of discomfort in the community. And personally, I think the new debt recovery policy is a good one. Do we have somebody that will move that way, or?
Yeah, I'll move that way, Councillor Allgate.
Councillor Hickey? Seconded.
I'll second that.
Councillor Bolland? Speak to it, Councillor Hickey.
Thanks, Councillor Allgate. And as we both said before, I think it's a credit to our finance committee and that to put this together. It's a great way forward, and it's much better than what we had before. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Broken Hill City item 6, Broken Hill City Council Report number 143/22 dated June the 2nd, 2022. Adoption of a draft equal employment opportunity policy. The recommendation is quite straightforward. Do we have a mover or any comment?
I'll move that recommendation as written.
Councillor Bolland. Seconder.
I'll second that.
Councillor Jewett. Speak to it, Councillor Bolland.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. Yeah, just reviewing it, obviously, equal opportunity employment policy is something that needs to be reviewed quite regularly. So it's good to see it reviewed. Obviously, things change, legislation changes, how society sees equal opportunity changes over time. So this just represents those changes over the last 11 odd years since the last since the 2009 policy.
Thank you. Any speakers against? Put it to a vote. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Item 7, Broken Hill City Council Report number 144/22 dated June the 2nd, 2022. Community assistance grants awarded for round of 2022-23. I think if people look at the those that were in receipt of the awards, from what I can remember, all the funds have been will be expended as a result of the take up. I think all deserving choices myself, but do we have a mover or comment?
I'll move that way.
Councillor Bolland. Seconded.
I'll second that.
Councillor Brown. Speak to it, Councillor Bolland.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. I sit on this committee as well, and the high caliber of applicants that came through was really, really good. All their applications were well put together, and your comments around them being very deserving community groups is certainly what we've seen during that process.
Thanks, Councillor Boland. Anybody else like to comment? No, put it to a vote. All those in favour? Unanimous. Item 8, Broken Hill City Council Report 145/22, dated June the 2nd, 2022, investment report for May.
I'll move that way as the recommendation is written.
Move Councillor Boland. Seconded, Councillor Brown. You speak for it, Councillor Boland?
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. I believe this report's probably the calm before the storm over the last month or so. I'm looking forward to seeing next month's report. It should be an interesting report. Obviously, we've seen the headways in inflation and interest rates, and the US market officially in bear territory. So it's going to be an interesting period, but obviously it's important for council to have money invested. And I noticed that the term deposits are starting to return a little bit more than enough interest for coffee. So that's good to see.
Thank you, Councillor Boland. Any further speakers? Put it to a vote. All those in favour? Unanimous. Before we go on to confidentials, well, there are no confidentials, but Councillor Brown would like to bring a late item to the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I spent today or most of today at Menindee at the public exhibition of the draft Western Regional Water Strategy, where we were addressed by a number of members of the various teams that have been working on this strategy. One of the most topical points was proposals about the trigger points for ceasing extraction in the Upper Darling. There are 3 points there, and the most contentious was that where the total storage of the Menindee Lakes is 195 gigalitres, that'll be the significant trigger point. And this is, and the officers present really made it quite clear, reading the body language, that that's a political decision rather than their recommendation. So I'm suggesting, just because time is short to make a submission, that that council puts a submission objecting to this particular trigger point, but making the point that whatever amount is finally agreed, that it'd be active storage and not total storage, which is the point currently. So this 195 gigalitres would actually lose at least 40 gigalitres, which is inaccessible in Lake Corndilla and elsewhere. So my motion is just council write a submission objecting to the trigger points proposed in the draft strategy.
We get all that information. You get all that information from the meeting, do you? The general manager.
I can liaise with Councillor Brown.
Oh, okay.
Okay. There's plenty of information on that to get the wording.
Okay. So we'll make that a motion, and move Councillor Brown, seconded. Seconded.
Yeah, I'll second that, but I think we need to get that wording pretty right, because those numbers have got to be exact. I don't know.
I think the general manager.
It is.
I think the general manager has agreed to talk to Councillor Brown to get some more specific figures.
Yeah.
So that a letter can be sent off to the appropriate people. to offer our views or complaints or whatever.
And then we'll have, when's that got to be in by?
Pardon?
When does that have to be in by? 13th July. So we've got time to have a look at that at the next general meeting to make sure that we're in the right,
Okay.
got it all together. Thank you.
So-
But I'll second it as.
So
Yep.
moved, councillor Brown, seconded, councillor Hickey. All those in favour? Unanimous. Item 10, confidential matters. There is no confidential matters, or there are no confidential matters. So this is the close of the meeting. The meeting closed at 6:01 PM. Thank you for your attendance.